What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean. You guys are the UVE community, and we are back once again to look at a few more of my old scouting reports. Yes, I said scouting reports. If you've been following the channel for any length of time, you know I'm a bit of a scouting nerd. Not only do I scout random players from throughout the world on a semi-consistent basis, right? We do scouting reports pretty regularly, but I also tend to do little in-depth reports on players that we may be linked with, players that look like we're getting ready to sign, so we can learn a little bit more about them, things of that nature. So I do enjoy it. I know some of you enjoy it as well. It's always fun to see some hidden gems and uncover the future stars somewhere out in Europe and throughout the rest of the world. So that's what we're doing. But long before the channel, long before Stretty News, I had a little blog website where I did scouting reports. That's pretty much all I did. And we've been going through some of those. So along the way, I'm sure you guys have seen some familiar faces. Maybe there are probably a few players too you had to go look up after the videos. Hopefully not during the videos, rude. Not all of them, of course, went on to be stars. That's just the nature of it. In my defense, though, a lot of these players' injuries just seem to pop up right after I did the scouting report. I've said before, I'm kind of cursing them. But if you can believe it, we're almost done with some of these. We've been through, about 4 or 5 videos now. Got a few more videos left, and that's a lot. And there's been, like 10, 12 players per video. So we're looking at, mid 70s, low 80s by the time. That's a lot of players that I've scouted, which is ridiculous. And then that's not even including the ones that we've done on the channel together. That's a little bit insane. But let's see what we're going to do here. I know there's been a lot, but we're going to go through it. So I will be back tonight, though. So before everyone kind of flips out, I will be back tonight for a news roundup. I just wanted to make sure we got this out of the way today as well, just in case some come. But I will be back tonight. So make sure I'll post that link when I'm done here. I will be back tonight for a news roundup because I'm sure you guys have questions about a lot of the stuff going on. So you get a 2 for today. So make sure you're liking the video before we get started with today's latest batch of scouting reports. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are on that road to 3K. Every little bit helps. I'd love to get to 3K before the summer transfer window officially closes. I'm putting out the challenge to the UVE community. So if you've been following along, share the videos, subscribe. It's the best way to help out. But also check those memberships out too if you guys want to learn how you can get involved in the scouting reports and any other content on the channel. There's all the breakdown is in the membership details. So let's get stuck in. First and foremost, though, I want to make sure that we are taking the time to take a look at the Danny B, the other scout. If you guys want to know anything about anyone playing in South American leagues, Brazil, Argentina, any of that, Danny B is your go-to source. My Irish brother from another mother loves him some South American football. But big up, Danny. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So first and foremost, let's talk about my first scouting report from back in May of 2023. That is Mats Wiefer. Scouted this guy when he was at Feyenoord because he was an absolute baller. Obviously, since then, he has gone on to Brighton. And honestly, just injuries, man. They're making a lot of my scouting reports look bad. And Wiefer is kind of another example. He was so good at Feyenoord, literally the epitome of total football. And I think that was the title of that entry was Mats Wiefer is the definition of total football. This guy could do it all. His defensive numbers were on point. His ball progression was on point, both passing wise, dribbling wise. They were stellar. It just is. Now, in his defense, he was injured when Brighton signed him. And he did miss more, though, than 100 days. And he missed 22 games last season with some leg issues. We were heavily linked to Wiefer a lot before he ended up going to Brighton. I really liked him, but still, even despite the injuries and stuff, if you go back and look at his numbers, they weren't bad. Physically, they were very, very good. Aerial duels, tackles, ball progression, still well above average, are in the top near percent. So, yes, it's a smaller sample size when you're injured, but at the same time, it was one of those situations where when he was fit, he was playing well. Maybe it took him a little bit of time to acclimate to the league, but when he was fit, he was actually playing really well. And so I think he's got everything in him to be a leader, to be a captain in Brighton's midfield. I do see shades of kind of like Jordan Henderson kind of presence in that club. If I'm honest, they keep signing, they keep selling young players. I can easily see Wiefer being a guy who's there for a while and is kind of a mainstay in that Brighton side for a little while. So not up to me though. It's up to you guys. You guys let me know What did I get this right? Did I get this wrong? Was we for a hit or a miss? I'll let you guys handle that in the chat, and hopefully I didn't get it wrong. The injuries, I'm telling you, I've had such bad luck with the injuries with some of these players, but it is what it is. I'll keep the V4 poll up for a little bit longer for any of these stragglers who come in late. Let's move on to my second scouting report of May that year. Now, we've kind of already done a little bit of a scouting report on this guy a while back when we were looking at Licha replacements. But I scouted this guy, Strahinja Plavovlich, when he was still at RB Salzburg way back when. Center back, left-sided center back, has since moved to AC Milan. Very, very good young center back. I like this kid a lot. He was already proving himself to be a modern, effective, physical center back way back when. He was in the top 6% for defenders when it came to carries, top 8% for take-ons. He was already showing this modern way of kind of like a throwback to Rio. Just, I'm able to take this ball and carry it up the pitch and play it forward. That's just what he did. His passing range back then was excellent as well. But he didn't shy away from the physical side of the game. Top 7% for tackles and aerials. The guy had it all. Even then, he had it all. If you recall, the scouting report, he has kept this up too since joining AC Milan. Top 3% for tackles, top 1% for carries, 80th percentile for progressive passes. I mean, this guy is literally the epitome of the modern center back. He's a guy you sign for the left side of your defense, and you literally don't need to worry about anything at all. It's kind of like when we signed Wan-Bissaka. I never worried about anybody doing anything with Wan-Bissaka after that, if that makes sense. Hold on, let me get my poll going here. Uh-oh. Let me refresh my page here. Hopefully it's working for you guys. Danny says hasn't watched him a lot lately. AC Milan, they struggled a bit this past season, to be honest, but I'm going to put this in the poll and you guys tell me what you think here. But he's just been so consistent. I rarely see him have a bad game, but like I said, a couple years ago when I scouted this guy, and he's obviously made a bit of a step up, but I like to think that he's a hit. But you guys let me know what you think on Strahinja Plavovlich. Danny says hit. I think he's a hit. He's definitely one that I think goes under the radar, but when you watch him and you look at his underlying numbers, you'll wonder why he's not moving to a big club. I can see him moving to a big club sometime soon here. Moving on, another familiar face for a lot of you. A lot of you actually recommend this guy for United as well. We're looking at Bart Verbruggen. So if I remember correctly, again, a lot of you guys named the Verbruggen as your pick to replace Andre Onana. I scouted this guy back when he was still at Anderlecht, doing a very good job. I don't think he has been as impressive since joining Brighton, but he was immense as a young 20-year-old keeper in the Belgian league. Remember, we were actually being linked to him when I scouted him, which is why the title of that scouting report was, "Is he ready for a move to Manchester United?" He filled in for Anderlecht's injured first-choice keeper a few years ago, and then he took his chance with both hands or gloves. He performed. His numbers actually better than the guy he replaced after he got injured. Third highest save percentage in the league that season. He couldn't get minutes ahead of Steele at Brighton because they stuck with Steele for some reason. He's still young, though, but he did step up last season. And I think that while he's not quite the finished article, he's still just 22. I think he has shown his willingness to command his area. If you look at some of his crosses claimed and stuff, his save percentage still needs work as far as actual keeping is concerned. But I think that he's still young. I think he definitely has it in him to do something a little more. Let me put this in the poll for y'all. It looks like it's just you and me today, Danny boy. How you doing, man? You enjoying your day? You at work today? Just looking at some old scouting reports, River. Danny says Milan not a big club anymore. He misses. He would be pissed. Danny says hit Verbruggen. Yeah, I think as you can see the kind of progression from when I started way back when to now we're in the fourth video. You can kind of see, okay, maybe Sean was starting to after a little bit of kind of training wheels, Sean was really starting to find his scouting eye. His talent identification was ramping up a bit. So big up. He's good off today. Nice, man. Well, like I said, I will be back later on tonight for a news roundup. And then don't forget, Wednesday is the Kickabout. We've got a fun announcement too for the Kickabout as well. So make sure you tune in Wednesday night when we're chilling with Dylan for a little bit of a fun announcement for that one. So you guys let me know what you think about Verbruggen. Was he a hit? Was he a miss? I'm going to move on to a player. Now, some of you might not know who this guy is, but at the time, May 2023, Andre Almeida was an absolute baller. Like, baller. He's still at Valencia, which is where he was when I scouted him. He's center midfielder. Carries, take-ons, progressive passing, all literally stellar. He could have owned the midfield at any top club at the time. I don't know what happened to him. He just hasn't hit the heights he was capable of. Again, long-term injuries though. 21 games, 141 days missed in the 23-24 season. Again, I'm convinced I had a bad luck charm, but he was just a press-resistant dribbling machine 2 years ago. And so you wonder, will he get back to what he was before his injury? Remains to be seen, but he was an absolute baller. Let me put this in the poll here. Danny, it's just you, so I might not even bother with the polls, but I'll put in there just for anybody else who's lurking. But it's good. So he's also moved from an 8 to the 10 role these days. So he's playing more as a 10 now. But his ball progression and his chance creation are still excellent. So I think he could get back to his old self. But again, that injury is just rough, man. Danny wants to know if he's Argentinian. He's Portuguese, Danny. Just FYI. So yeah, he's still at Valencia. He's 25 now, so he's kind of entering that point in his career where he's probably gonna, his next contract's gonna be kind of the big major contract. But I love this guy when I scouted him. Again, you guys know how much I love midfielders who can carry the ball, who don't have to just always pass the ball. I love it when you're press resistant, when you can carry that ball high up the pitch on your own, when you can beat people 1v1. I think that's worth its weight in gold in many ways. And this guy had all of that. So, but the Portuguese, just again, the injuries will get you, dude. So keep an eye on him though, because it looks like he's back to his good self, but we'll see how it goes. Moving on, Mickey van de Ven. I told you, we're starting to get into some familiar faces because I scouted this guy when he was still at Wolfsburg, when he was actually heavily linked to go to Liverpool. If you guys remember that, obviously he ended up going, not Brighton. Sorry, this should say Spurs. My bad, guys. But he was the talk of the town as far as young up and coming defenders go, Van de Ven. And he still is, honestly. He probably could have had his pick of any big club. But you could already see what kind of defender, what he was all about way back then. Pacey, physical, able to get up and down the pitch. His take-ons, his carries for a center back, they were absolutely astounding, and they still are. Aside from the injuries, just really just hurt him a lot. So I'm gonna put this guy in the poll because I'm sure some of you have been lurking. Maybe I'm not familiar with some of the other players, but you guys know who this guy is all about. Again, a lot of this could have had to do with the way Postecoglou was setting up his team to play high line, constantly having to sprint up and down the pitch. The injuries, well documented, but you can't argue though that when Van de Ven's fit, he is a class center back. If fit though, that's the caveat. So you wonder if the injuries picked up under Postecoglou at Spurs, if that's going to play a long-term issue, because he did seem to pick up quite a few. But I think that we can all agree that Van de Ven is an absolute baller when it comes to center backs. Sorry, it says Brighton. It should say Spurs. I think that I just forgot to change that. My bad, guys. There's going to be typos now and then. It's going to happen. You guys just roll with it. But you guys let me know, Van de Ven, hit or miss? Are you bummed that we didn't get him? He seems like he fits the way we play very well, too. He's very, very physical. I don't know how his passing range looks. I know we do like ballers that our center backs are a little better on the ball. But in terms of just modern defense, high line, pacey, he ticks all those boxes. So moving on to another center back, Mies Hilgers. This one could be someone that you guys have no idea who he is. Again, one Dutch center back to another. And he was at the top of my list 2 years ago when it came to the next big thing. I scouted this guy June 2023. Young, modern center back then. Hilger's developed a reputation as being very, very, very good on the ball. His dribbles, his passing range, even a little bit of techers to create space. I mean, this guy was an absolute baller. Defensively, he was rock solid too. Top 3% when it came to tackles, top 15% for interceptions as well. FC20, still at FC20. To be honest, he's still doing his thing, even if he hasn't made any big moves. Top 6% for tackles. His progressive passes, progressive carries are still in like the top 12, 13%. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know they're up there. How he's still at FC20 is beyond me. I mean, no offense to any FC20 fans out there, but how he's still at FC20 is just a mystery to me. I don't understand how he hasn't earned a big move personally. Let me put this in the chat here. He's entering the final year of his contract, though, at FC20, and he's already had plenty of clubs that are interested in him in these last couple of years as well. Maybe they're just kind of letting him wind down, similar like Jonathan David. Keep an eye on this guy, though, because this guy's going to be an absolute baller. Danny's asking some particulars, so let's look it up here, Danny, for you. So why not? We can do this on the spot. I don't have a problem. So he's 24 now. He's right-footed, Danny. I don't know. It doesn't say how tall he is on FootMob. I had all this in my scouting report. I could have put it in there, but I just didn't. He's 6'1", so about my height. 24, good age, right-footed. He's kind of like a Lenny Yoro a little bit in just the way he plays. But he's a very good player. Pace. He's got enough pace. Yeah, man. He's very good. And it's funny because on the ball, he doesn't even need to be fast. He's got enough skill on the ball. Like I said, he's got that techiness to him. He can create space for himself. A little drop of the shoulder, a little heel flick here, like a little Cruyff turn. He can create space for himself. He's very good. I would trust him to play out from the back without any worries at all. He's very, very good. But in a year, his contract will be up if he doesn't renew. And he's old enough where you can sign him in January to come for free next summer if we need a shakeup in our defense. I think defense, though, so we're probably going to see McGuire heading out. Question marks over Leach's fitness as well. So there's a chance, but he could be really good. You could probably see him going someplace like an Eintracht Frankfurt, Leverkusen, somewhere like that. If he went to the Premier League, I could see him going someplace like Bournemouth or something, things like that. So, but keep an eye out for him. Mies Hilgers, I'm surprised he hasn't made any big moves, but it's just the way football goes sometimes. So some of you guys might not be familiar with him. It is what it is. Don't take it personally. Doesn't mean that they were bad. It just means, in his case, it just is what it is. So I got one coming up that I'm going to put on here because you guys probably are going to hit that hit button a lot. So move on to my next one. I told you guys I scouted this guy a while ago. Martin Yeoman. Scouted him June 2023 when he was still at Lecce. Obviously, he's currently at Sporting, but he was an absolute midfield general when he was at Lecce. Just 23 years old at the time. He'd already just bossing the midfield. He was club captain back then at 23 at Lecce. His tackles, interceptions per 90, they were in the top 15%, top percent. Like his interceptions per 90 were literally in the top 1%. Top 1% for interceptions. Like that's insane. Remember what I've said about what it means when your interceptions are really good is you can read the game. You don't have to rely on tackling when you can just position yourself, anticipate, read the situation almost mentally a couple steps ahead of everyone else. That's how you know you're good. So keep an eye out for anyone who's got good interception numbers. It usually means they can read the game pretty well. He was the only midfielder, in fact, in the top 10 for interceptions back then as well. He was an absolute beast. Under Ruben Amorim at Sporting, Hillman was tasked with a bit more than just defensive role. And as a result, you saw him improve his ball progression, his passing, his carrying. He became more of an all-around midfielder rather than just this defensive, force in midfield. He's still well above average when it comes to tackles, interceptions, but this past year, his progressive pass and his pass completion were all well within the top 10, 15% as well. So again, making him a bit more of a well-rounded midfielder. And I think that's only elevated his game. It's made him offer so much more. This is something that I hope we could do with Ugarte. Yeah, you've got the pace, you've got the fight, you've got the defensive numbers, but I want to see you add another string to your bow when it comes to ball progression. Then you'll be a complete midfielder. But I mean, do I have to ask? I mean, we're probably all familiar with this guy so far, right? I mean, it's more than human. We'll talk a little bit more about him later on tonight in tonight's news roundup because there have been some fresh updates as far as his future go. But we'll see. Yeah, Danny said he's good defending set pieces. Yeah, and that's, you remember what we say about guys like Varane, even Johnny Evans, and even to an extent what we've said about Collier when it comes to his box defending. It's, again, when you read the game and you've got that good vision, you look good defending set pieces. You look good defending in those situations, your interceptions, because you know where to be. That, when you're young, is next level stuff. When you're older, like Evans, Varane, that comes from experience and stuff. And so Hillman back then was an absolute baller. Big up, Darkro. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. We're just kind of going through some of my old scouting reports again. But hope you are doing well, man. Good. Yeah, exactly. High footballing IQ. We've said that many times. And he already had it even as a 23-year-old. This guy was an absolute boss. So probably don't need to ask a whole lot, but I'll put it on there anyway. So moving on. Next one. Some of you guys are probably getting ready to hit the miss button on this guy, but Axel Disasi, more like Axel Disaster, right? According to some Chelsea fans. Again, scouted him back in June of 2023, and when he was at Monaco. And honestly, he was a beast back then. I don't know how many of you guys watched him when he was at Monaco, but he was doing really, really well. He was 25 when I scouted him, so he was already a little older. So more of a hidden gem back then than a young baller. His aerial duels, his interception numbers were terrific back then, but he was also very good at carrying the ball out from the back, something that, is very highly valued these days from defenders. His take on numbers, they are still good. His aerial duels are still good as well, but defensively, he's not really kept it up. And I think he's 27 now, so he's kind of running out of time to show everyone what he's about, to be honest. He hasn't seen a ton of minutes under Enzo Maresca. There are rumors he could be set for the exit door. I mean, usually a change in manager doesn't spell good news for some players, just like a change in owner doesn't tend to spell good news for a manager. But Danny says probably miss. Yeah, we were linked. Remember, we were linked to Badia Shield back then to another Monaco defender. I think both of them, oddly enough, went to Chelsea, which is just funny. Who hasn't gone to Chelsea anymore? I mean, Chelsea just go through players like a freaking meat grinder, man. It's just ridiculous. But yes, Disasi is a bit older than I think a lot of people realize, so he is up to it. Darkro, good thanks. Just struggling with diabetes. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Sorry that the struggle. Be careful on the walk, man. Make sure you get plenty of water and whatnot. So Debasi, big up. Is he Mainu's brother? He kind of does look like Mainu in that picture a little bit, doesn't he? Interesting. But you guys let me know. Was that a hit or a miss? Again, he was actually very good at Monaco, but he was already kind of older. So he would have been interesting to see how things would have gone for us had we signed him. Would he have still had as rough a time maybe as he has at Chelsea? He would be, again, he's 27 now. So interesting to say the least. But Axel Disasi, there he is, you guys. Moving on to another player that honestly I completely forgot about over the last couple of years. Some of you guys might remember another Monaco player, Mohamed Kamara. This guy was an absolute defensive midfield powerhouse way back then. Again, Monaco. He's now in the Qatari League at Al Sadd, I guess, which is why I didn't know what happened to him, because he went to the Qatari League. Usually you're like, oh, he went to the Saudi League. No, he didn't even go to the Saudi League. He went to Qatari League. He's Malian-born, came through the Red Bull system. I know, right? Malian-born midfielder coming through the Red Bull system. Shock, awe, surprise. I called this guy the next N'Golo Kante at the time. And looking at his numbers back then, it's easy to see why. Top 8% for tackles per 90. 8th in League A when it came to sorry, my computer just messed up, for tackles that season. His job was basically to win the ball. But he also had an exceptional passing range too. So not only could he win the ball, but he could actually do something with it when he got it as well, without having to just always so often you see those defensive midfielders who are just like, I'm a straight up six. They win the ball, it's short pass to the better players who are better on the ball. This guy win the ball, and I can also make a switch of play. I can also play a through pass. I can do a lot of stuff with it. For all his proven ability, for all his potential that he had left to go, he ended up moving the Qatari League, like I said. But in the seasons between the scouting report of June 2023 and when he moved, he was still balling out. Top 15% for tackles, for ball progression, top 1% for tackle completion. Like, he was just very, very good. Danny wants to know how old he is. He's 25, so he's not old. Again, he was young when I did the scouting report. It's not like he's too. But again, what are you going to do when you go to the Saudi League or the Qatari League? I mean, that's even worse than the Saudi League, right? I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I watch the Qatari League. No offense to anyone who does. But let's be honest, anyone who's watching the Qatari League. So he still has everything in him to maybe come back and do something else with his career if he wants to. But it is what it is. Sometimes you make your decisions and you go with it, but we'll see what happens there. Mohamed Kamara. Next up is a player that a lot of you have been kind of watching recently. But like I said, during the Europa League campaign, when we played Lyon, I had scouted this guy way back when he was playing with a different French club. That's Georges Mikataji. I can't remember how you say his name. Played a huge role in Metz' promotion to Ligue 1. 23 goals, 8 assists the season that I scouted him. Definitely helps when Metz were fighting for that promotion. 7 times Team of the Week player, including 6 weeks in a row in the Team of the Week that season. He was an absolute baller. He was featured in the Team of the Year for Ligue 2 or Ligue 2. He was named Ligue 2 Player of the Year the season I scouted him as well. You can see why I highly rated this guy. The following season, though, it started to fall apart for him. He moved to Ajax in the January 23-24, so about 6-7 months after I scouted him. 0 goal involvements in 9 matches when he was there. He made the switch to Lyon last summer, and he kind of started to find his form again. 17 goals, 9 assists in all comps is a good first step in kind of reclaiming your career. And he actually had 4 goals, 3 assists in the Europa League last year too, which is very good in my opinion. So again, going to Ajax during the time that he went to Ajax was probably one of the worst things that he could have done. Ajax were an absolute mess when, if you guys remember, after Ten Hag left. And so I think they went through like half a dozen managers during that time too. Ajax were definitely the place to avoid, even more so than United. But you guys remember him from the Europa League campaign. Danny says we should look at him, good player. I still go back and forth because it's easy to look good in some leagues and some competitions, and for some reason you come to United and it all starts to fall apart. I don't know what that is. Anybody, we could do we've done videos on that. So his percentiles are awesome though. So if you guys go to FBref and look him up, basically all green percentiles. In the right system, I do think that Mikataji could shine like a lot. But again, it's all about system. Using him the way he needs to be used. Like, again, it's easy to look at strikers and think they should just be hold-up players. They should be poachers. They should do this. Not all strikers are created equally. Sometimes you do have the Vardys who want to get space. They want to get on the end of things. Sometimes you have your Girouds who are in the box kind of guys. It's just all strikers are different, and the right or wrong system can, make or break, a striker's effectiveness in the team. I do think that we have played a role in why Højlund has struggled because we did not play to his strengths. We forced him to try to do something he's not comfortable doing at such a young age. He hasn't helped, but again, it shows just how that can play a big role. But there's definitely still time for Mikataji. I don't think that he obviously is the star that I thought he could be, but I think that he definitely has a lot of time left to do that. But Danny says squad player. Yeah, he could go. I could see him going. Yeah, honestly, if Chelsea weren't buying strikers left and right, I could have easily have seen him be doing like squad stuff at like Chelsea or something, or coming in and being like a backup at Arsenal or something. I think he's similar to like a Gabriel Jesus in the way he plays. I just think he's better. So, but it's not up to me. It's up to you guys. So you guys let me know what you think. because we're sticking with another player from the French league back when I did this. Let's move on to Romain Favre. Scouted him back in, again, June 2023. It's number 10 for FC Lorient back then. He's currently at Monaco at the moment. So he joined Lorient on loan the January I scouted him that year. He was very impressive in 5 goals, 4 assists, 5 big chances created during his short loan spell back then, 3 times T of the week, 2 times man of the match back then. His ball carrying was absolutely on point during that time as well. Top 5% for take-ons and carries. Progressive passes were in the top 15% too. The guy was just a ball mover, a chance creator, a ball progressor. He ended up leaving FC Lorient a year later, the following year, and he ended up at Bournemouth, but just 6 appearances in half a season. Didn't really do well for his development, and he was sent out last year on loan to Brest in Ligue 1. Back in the French league, he seems like he found his form a little bit. 3 goals, 3 assists in all comps. I mean, not back to his best by any sense, but you have to restart somewhere, right? Just like who we just previously covered, Mikitaji, you've got to restart at some place, or what Donny van de Beek's trying to do at Girona unsuccessfully. But it's just part of it. It's just the wrong move at the wrong time can really derail your career by a couple seasons if you're not careful. I feel bad for Donny van de Beek personally, but I know I'm in the minority when it comes to that, because I remember him when he was at Ajax. He was an absolute baller. Danny says, haven't followed him in a while. To be honest, watched very little of him. Yeah, he had everything to be an absolute baller. I don't think he's as good as I thought he could be. But again, sometimes it just takes a little while to recover from the bad move, personally. So, what do you got? Matt Hatter, welcome, man. Very jealous of the João Pedro. Yeah, I think a lot of people are watching the final this week over the weekend and a little jealous. But we'll see. It's easy to look good in a Club World Cup and a summer friendly and see. I'm not saying he's bad, João Pedro, but I mean, does he move the needle for us in what we're trying to do? We'll see. But yeah, I honestly, the funniest thing, Mad Hatter, about the whole João Pedro thing is not even anything to do with João Pedro and everything to do with Liam Delap. And this kid thought he was going to be the main guy. He was going to be the next Harry Kane. You're the young English striker. Let's throw you in and then they turn around and sign João Pedro. They still got what's his face at the club too, Nicholas Jackson. So I don't know what's going on there, but Chelsea are a mess. I don't know why young players go to Chelsea, to be honest, but it is what it is. Not my call, and I'm not them. But you guys let me know about Romain Favre. Debasi wants to know a Romain heat map. Let me go see. For this year or for the year I did that. I can go look up on. So he's 26 now, 27 actually. He just turned 27 today, actually. Happy birthday, Roman. He's still at Bournemouth technically. But again, let me go back here and see what we're doing here. So last year, he's kind of playing more on that right side, Debasi. So he's kind of in that middle of that final third, kind of focus on their right-hand side, and then a little bit more touches in his own half on the right-hand side as well. So that's where you're going to see him. He only started 10 matches, though, last season in Ligue 1. So Danny says probably regretting his decision already. I mean, I don't know what he was told to get. If rumors were true and he just wanted to play Champions League football, then again, this is why you have to have good people around you. You have to make sure your agent is worth the money you're paying and stuff, because the wrong decision, man. You went just because Chelsea were in the Champions League. I mean, not that I think Liam Delap would have made a huge difference for us. I like him. I think he's probably better than Højlund. But for me, that would have been just like another Højlund kind of a situation where we'll see how it goes. But I don't trust you to be our number one striker right now. But maybe that's the case too. Maybe against Chelsea, you're just kind of splitting the difference between a couple of young strikers, letting them duke it out and see who ends up on top. But who knows? Matt Hatter says he can't even play. I've got a dog hair in my face. That's what happens when you kiss your dogs. You get hair all over you. Can't Delap also play on the wing? Honestly, Matt Hatter, I don't even care anymore where he can play, because he doesn't play for us. So as soon as Gyökeres signs on that line and he holds up an Arsenal shirt, I don't even care anymore. This is why I'm not doing 1,000 videos on what's next with Gyökeres, because he's not coming to us. So why am I going to bother chatting about him? There's no point in it. So. But you guys let me know what you think about Romain Favre. Some of you might not have watched them a whole lot, but I'm going to move on. Put up the next guy here. before I post him on here, so you guys can let me know. Chico Conceição. So he was actually playing at Ajax when I scouted him 2 seasons ago, playing on that right wing. I know these young wingers at Ajax, they go through a lot of them over there. Anthony, David Neres, they go through a lot of young wingers over there. Steven Berghuis, who's the other guy that Spurs picked up from Eindhoven, ended up going to Ajax. Bergwijn, that was another one. Currently at Porto, spent the last year on loan at Juventus. So you guys might be familiar with him a little bit. Again, scouted him at Ajax. He was basically brought in to take over for Mohamed Kudus when he was just 20 years old. They called him the Olival Messi back then. He was so good at moving the ball up the pitch back then. Again, excellent percentiles when it came to carries, progressive passes, touches in the box. He played very much like an Amad Diallo or like a Messi the way this guy played back then at Ajax. His progression prowess stuck with him on loan last year at Juventus. And he's even pitched in off the ball. If you look at his tackle numbers last year, he's willing to put in a shift off the ball too and help his team out. Similar to like what we see from Anthony time again, even though this guy actually completes his tackles. Anthony just goes in 2-footed and then just gets sent into Rosette. Juve are trying to get Porto to lower their initial agreed upon price of this loan option. We've seen this kind of mixed in with Sancho's kind of situation in Juve, that maybe Sancho's not Juve's top choice. Conceição maybe seems to be their top choice, but they're not going to pay what Porto want. It doesn't seem like Juve have a ton of money if they're trying to haggle on players who were reportedly being set with like 20, 25 million price tags. I mean, the amount that we're rumored to be getting for Sancho potentially is an absolute piss take in my opinion, but at this point, just get him out of here. But Sancho's move to Turin could hang in the balance if Porto don't lower their asking price. But again, the question is not transferring. The question is, did I get this one right 2 years ago when I thought this kid was going to be a baller? Debasi says, why did United not scout him? I mean, if we would have signed him back then, the whole thing would have been like, ooh, another Ajax player. Great. Because we already signed Anthony that summer. So what are you going to do? Debasi says, hit. Not even a question. Could he play wing back? I mean, his tackle numbers suggest maybe he could. But again, he's basically a regen of Ahmad right now, the way he's playing. And so would it be a waste, kind of redundant? I mean, he could probably start at a lot of clubs. He probably wouldn't want to come in and not be guaranteed game time. And so, I mean, and I don't begrudge players for that. Most players are going to want to play. So Debasi says he wanders around right mid position. You could definitely play right wing back, but in attack phase, yeah. So good player. I think I got this one right. You guys let me know what you think, because again, not up to me. We are cruising, though. 2 more left for today. Like I said, we are nearing the end of the old scouting reports. We've got a couple more videos left to go. And like I said, for those of you who came in late, I will be back later on tonight with a news roundup as well. So if you're wondering why I'm not talking about some of the stuff from today, we're coming back later on tonight. So you get a 2 for today. So keep a lookout for that one later on, probably like 5:30 or so. We'll be back for that. So move on to another player. I saved the best for last. This one's not the best, and again, I didn't do that on purpose. It was just the way that they lined up. But we'll move on to my penultimate player for today. This one I was actually really bummed about. Johan Le Penant, young defensive midfielder, was at Lyon when I scouted him. Still at Lyon, although I think he went on loan a couple times. I had high hopes for Le Penant. At just 20 years old, he had so much fire, so much grit in Lyon's midfield. But he also had an excellent passing range as well. Think of, for those of you who might remember, he kind of plays like a young Marcelo Brozovic, if you guys remember him at Inter, who I really, really wanted at United back when he was, 26, 27 at Inter. I would have killed to have Brozovic at United, but it goes without saying. But this kid's very similar. He had an ACL issue, though, that cut his season in 23-24 short. So, again, the season after I scouted him, ACL injury. He's at Nantes now, and he didn't quite reach the height that I thought he would. His numbers are still very, very solid. Top 13%. Take-ons are well above average. Still just 22, so he's got plenty of time to show what he's got, get over that ACL injury. We have seen players do that in the past, but most of you probably don't know who he is because he was injured for so long. But ACLs will do that, to be honest. But I had really, really high hopes for this kid. Just unfortunately, those injuries. I told you guys, I'm like so bad luck when it came to doing these. Every time I did one, the player would get injured and it just unraveled. So You guys let me know here. Debasi says Ekitike gone. I mean, was Ekitike really ever a realistic option though? And that's the thing. Just because we've been linked to the player doesn't necessarily mean that we're in for him personally. So Debasi says ACL. Nah, bro, I'm good. I mean, Van Diklis came back from an ACL injury, and that was what 3 or 4 years ago. And Liverpool fans will blame their entire season derailing on that one thing alone. It's funny how many times Liverpool will blame something derailing on the loss of one player at Champions League final against Real Madrid. Salah goes down, you have no other game plan other than to rely on Mo Salah. But Liverpool fans gonna Liverpool fans, scouts gonna scouts, right? So that's why we call it Scouts tears, and I guzzle it down like water. Yeah, Lepena, you guys again maybe not familiar with him, but I know you're familiar with this youngster. This is going to round out our day today. I know you guys are familiar with João Neves, right? I scouted this guy way back when, June 2023. Let me put it in the chat. See what you guys think. Do I really need to ask though? I just like to see all the numbers go up because I'm a child, I guess. But this kid, saving the biggie for last. He's just, do I even need to take a verdict though? I mean, before we were linked to João Neves in the summer of 2024, we were actually linked to him in the summer of 2023 when he was still just 18. He had an assist on his debut for Benfica against Club Brugge back then. Just 16 minutes in the match, he came on and got an assist. I think it was crystal clear to see what João Neves was about even back then. I could see it. I know some of you could see it. United were apparently seeing it. Excellent ball progression back then. Top 2% for tackles as well per 90. Surprisingly, too, because he is a shorter guy who's actually in the top 6% for aerial duels back then as well, as a young player, too. So not only are you a shorter kind of young player, but you're still in the top 6% for aerial duels. This guy literally is like a Paul Scholes a little bit. And the rest, they say, is history. This kid is an absolute baller. And I've been watching him for the last couple years. This dude is an absolute beast. Danny's still pissed. Yeah, I'm so annoyed. He probably wanted to go to PSG. To be honest, it is what it is. But if we would have just maybe spent a little bit more and got him and just left Ugarte at PSG. I love Ugarte, but there's no comparison really. Come on. There's no comparison there. This kid is like streets ahead. So do I need to ask though? Let me check the chat just while we're yeah, it's 100% for sure all the way. But Danny, even further back, we should have spent that Mason Mount money on him personally. This kid, absolute baller. I think and again, if you remember back, so we've talked a little bit about some of the former managers and some of the scouting. So like there was a what if video, if you guys remember, it was the what if De Gea had made a save during the Europa League final when we went to Pens. Ollie's. Because we did like a what would have happened in the future, how that would change. So Ollie actually said in interviews, like we were looking at guys like Caicedo, guys like Declan Rice, but we deemed them to be too young at the time, especially Caicedo. I do think that maybe that had something to do with it. We weren't, looking so much at some of these young players as much as we are now, if that makes sense. But it is what it is. And it wouldn't have cost that much. Debasi says he pulled Cucurella's. I saw that he got a record. Obviously, I don't watch the Club World Cup, so I don't know what happened. I did see Chelsea won. How did PSG play? Was it close? Was it just did not even care? You guys remember when Fellaini pulled what's that dude's name? The French dude who used to play for Guendouzi when he pulled his hair in a match. That was funny. I got time for Fellaini, honestly. I think Fellaini gets a bad rap, but some of the best chest control you're ever going to see in your life. Half the amount of money. Yeah, he wouldn't have cost nearly as much as we would have paid for him last summer. But this to me, for as long as I'm probably going to watch the next couple of years, this guy for me, even more so than like someone like Gyökeres, this guy's going to be the one that got away. Like he just is. He is like a complete midfielder in every single way you can possibly imagine. Him going to PSG and like Vitinha and stuff, he is why I also am like, let's go make a cheeky bid for Zaire Emery because he's probably not going to get as many minutes. But this kid right here will always be the one that got away, in my opinion. This guy is just an excellent midfielder, all around midfielder. I like everything about this guy. There's nothing about him that I'm like, I don't want at United. So They said João Gomez, Neves, Alan Varela, Moscardo, my top targets. Yeah, Varela is also another one. Very little bit different than Varela is a little bit more of a Casemiro regen, and Neves is definitely a little bit different. He's got a little bit more to his game as well. Neves can do it all. Physical, he'll drop deep to pick up the ball, start play. He'll get involved higher up the pitch. I love this kid. I have nothing to say about that other than positive. So, but yeah, Varela is another one. Danny, can you imagine a midfield pivot of João Neves and Alan Varela? No, it's not fair. It's not even fair. But that's the last one for today. How did I do out of each of today's targets from a couple years ago? I think we can all agree maybe the top one is João Neves. So usually I'll ask what the top one is. Who was your top pick? I guess I should say who is your second top pick, because everyone's top pick is João Neves. Hillman's probably second for me in terms of the best players from this batch. Personally, I'm trying to think of who else I did today. Conceição maybe is up there a little bit. Mkhitaryan, you can maybe put an argument in for that as well. It's got to be Hillman. Van de Ven, too. You could easily put Van de Ven in there, too. Verbruggen, Pavlovic. This is a good batch of players. Some of them a little bit unlucky with injuries like Wiefer and Van de Ven, but this is a good little batch of players. Danny says, if we had Varela, Neves, and Manu, if we played a 4-3-3 or like a 3-5-2, Danny, with Varela in the deeper role, Neves and Manu as the eights, and Mbeumo Cunha as the front duo. You got Ahmad, you've got Dorgu. Like that's a ridiculously unfair starting 11. Personally, that's insane. That's insane. Tobias says we can't all have good things. Always let it go. It's good. This one, that's going to be hard for me to let this one go. I would have moved heaven and earth to sign this kid if I were United back then. But again, it is what it is. Like you're saying, Danny says Hillman, Van de Ven for me after Neves. Yeah. This was a good batch, I think. I think this was more hits than misses, but it's not up to me. So, again, keep track of today. I'll post the link after I'm done here, because I will be back a little later on tonight for a news roundup. And I've got a scouting report as well, because we have been linked to another young defender. So keep a lookout for that one. I've went ahead and done the hard work for you and scouted the new link. So be sure to come back. We'll talk about all that stuff. And again, we will be back for the kickabout this week on Wednesday night. Dylan will be back. And I've got a little bit of a fun announcement for that as well. So I'll remind you guys a little later on. Tabashti says, Hillman, Neves, Conceição for me. Interesting. Putting Hillman above Neves. How dare you? But that is going to do it for this batch, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. I know they're fun little things, but it has been fun to go back and look. And not only if you like zoom out the lens a little bit, you can kind of see the quality of these players that's coming through, and it's funny. Depache says, I did not know Scalvini had ACL. Oh, does he? Interesting. That's too bad. So, but thank you guys. Take it easy. I'll be back in a couple hours. So until then, enjoy the remainder of your afternoon, and I will see you in a little while. Peace.